Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Hassani Pettiford, and today on the Couples Academy show, we're talking about the cost of a bad relationship. Stay tuned. Well, good morning. As you can see, I'm flying solo today. I do not have my better half. I do not have my bride, my partner for life, Danielle Pettiford, with me. This has been a week of travel, getting adjusted to school. As you know, all of us around the country are dealing with having school inside the home, so it has its own set of challenges. So she's with us in spirit, she's with us at heart, but we're excited to jump into today's topic. We just want to say welcome and good morning to all of you who are on Facebook and Periscope and all of the social media platforms that we are on. Glad to have you here this morning. We're talking about the cost of a bad relationship because, truth be told, so many people are dealing with challenges in their relationship, and it does play an unbearable toll. And if you're not aware of the toll that it plays, then you can be misled by what you're currently going through. Sometimes we have a tendency of minimizing the impact that our relationship has. And so rather than making the course corrections to prevent it from getting worse, we just allow it to go into a place where it's beyond our ability to control and beyond our ability to do anything. And that's why you seek help from other people. But we're talking about this today, and there's four elements in essence that we want to unpack in terms of the cost of a bad relationship. I think when you're dealing with costs, most people are thinking in terms of dollars and cents. So yes, there is a financial cost of relationships. Now, interestingly enough, we see this all the time. When people do things to hurt their partner, one of the things that they have a tendency to do is what? They'll go out and they'll buy a sorry gift. Now, we don't believe, on this show, we don't really get into celebrity type of news, or we don't deal with rumors or gossip and things of that nature. But I think it's important from time to time to kind of reference what has happened in society to give us an indication of what typically happens in our homes on a lower scale. We know that there have been situations where someone was unfaithful to their spouse and they went out and bought a $200,000 vehicle as a way of saying, I'm sorry. There was another individual, high-profile individual who did something to betray their spouse, and what they did was they went out and bought a $1 million ring. And we see that couples oftentimes will do things to kind of restore the relationship, so they think, but it has a short-term impact, but the long-term game, it really doesn't help. So we've come across couples who have gone on elaborate vacations. How about we go on a cruise? Let's just get away. Let's go on that dream vacation that we've always been talking about but never had the opportunity to do. And somehow the thought is, if I can give you something, if I can make you happy, if I can reward you with material things or experiences, somehow that will get rid of the pain that you're going through. And while it is a distraction, and while it is a nice gesture to deal with in the short term, there's a long-term implication that that pain has caused. And so these gifts are nice, but they don't have the impact or the effect that we oftentimes want. Yet they're very expensive. There's a huge financial cost associated with doing these elaborate things when we hurt our spouse. Another thing we see, oftentimes people separate. Now, truth be told, when people separate, for many couples, if it's not a controlled separation, it's really one step closer to divorce. But whether controlled, meaning there's a plan to restore the relationship and get back together, or there is no plan, we're just separating, it's a huge financial toll on that relationship. Because think about it, if we already are paying a number of expenses associated with the home that we live in, and now either the husband or the wife has to now go out and find their own place, most likely it's going to be an apartment or a townhouse or some type of condo. In some cases, they rent a home, whatever the case may be. But now you're dealing with a new lease, a 12-month lease that you're now committed to. You're dealing with having to get all new furniture and all new appliances. On top of that, all of the utilities that are involved. And so whether we're doing this for 6 months or a year, it's a financial burden. There's a financial cost that impacts that relationship. And if you seek to restore the relationship and now you have to break the lease and you're moving back in with your partner, there are fees associated with that. And so all the miscellaneous things that go along with a move. And so think about the impact that that has financially on a relationship. And now you're dealing with the children and expenses associated with that. So there's all types of things that happen in a relationship. I think Angel says, she actually says, gifts don't work for me, period. And it doesn't work for a lot of people. I think it's a temporary fix, but it doesn't really have the impact that you would hope that it would have. But then you're dealing with divorce. And divorce has its own set of issues as well. And it's a high ticket item that you have to contend with. We actually have a slide that I want to show you that we put together some time ago about the real cost of a bad relationship. In the end, what is this marriage really going to cost you? We know that the average cost of a wedding, at least at that time, was about $25,656. Think about this. That is a lot of money for a day. We've known so many couples who have spent tens of thousands of dollars on their marriage, and their marriage didn't even last a year. And now all of the credit cards are spent up, all of the savings is all spent up, and now you're paying a financial toll for a relationship that didn't work. Then we go on and see how the average cost of a honeymoon is about $4,500. And at some point, if divorce is on the table, we see that the average cost of a divorce is $53,000. Okay. And then when you add in the cost of child support per month, we're looking at about $430. When it comes to alimony, upwards of 20% of your salary. That's an enormous, enormous expense. And we even see high profile individuals who have a higher toll to pay. Recently in the news, we know that Dr. Dre and his wife split, and now they're going through the divorce, and she's requesting $2 million a month in spousal support. Let's look at this. The laundry and cleaning alone is $10,000 a month. The clothing, $135,000 a month for clothes. Education, $60,000 a month. Entertainment, $900,000. And of course, charitable contributions, $125,000. Then her mortgage is $100,000 a month. Telephone, cell phone, and emails, of course, that's got to be $20,000. And then you have ongoing expenses. And so the reality is, I'm not here to place judgment on what is fair, what is appropriate, but just to show you that there's a high price to pay when you're going through a relationship that is in turmoil and is not working. And so this is why we encourage you, get help. Your relationship doesn't have to cost you that much if you put your money in the right places. We always encourage you to invest in your marriage, because when you invest in your marriage will return a dividend that far exceeds the investment that you gave it. And so here we see Angel says, whoa, mercy, yes, a lot of money. Justice of the peace is where it's at. And we're seeing that a lot of people are now beginning to do that because the cost of a wedding is exorbitant. You know, when you consider all the things that go into that day. And now, especially due to COVID-19 and how people are doing weddings during the pandemic, it's absolutely more cost effective. And I think it's shifting and changing people's perspective about weddings overall in terms of what needs to go into it. It makes more sense to put that money into what? A home, something that will sustain you throughout the course of the relationship than just one day. And so these are the challenges that people deal with. But beyond the financial toll, you have to realize that there's an emotional cost as well. There's an emotional cost to a bad relationship. Now, we talk about the 22 emotions. There's something called the 22 emotional scale. And on that emotional scale, from one end of the spectrum to the other, you have all types of emotions. So either people are seething in anger, full of rage, annoyed, frustrated, or on the other end, they're saddened. They're always in a depressed state. And think about it. When you think about emotions, they're nothing more than energy in motion. On one end of the scale, the more angry and frustrated and enraged you are, there's a high level of energy associated with that emotion. However, on the opposite end, when you're dealing with sadness and depression, there's a low level of energy associated with that emotion. And that also impacts how people show up in their relationship. And so it's important that you have a healthy balance of your emotions and that they're not operating in any extreme, because when you're in an emotional state, when you're trapped in the pit of your emotional pain, when you're constantly dealing with triggers, not only are you not able to show up as your best self within your relationship, it affects your ability to partner with your spouse. It affects your ability to parent your children. It affects your ability to function on your job or in your career, or in your business. It affects your ability to function as a citizen in society. Now, you can get through, you can manage, right? You can make sure that you're handling all of your daily responsibilities, but the way in which you move and operate and flow is impacted when you are drenched in emotions that do not serve you. And so the reality is, are those emotions now creating sickness in the body that are challenging you? And that's another toll. It's the physical cost of the relationship. Think about it. If you're in a bad relationship, it can literally cause you to become sick, because emotions, toxic emotions in the body, metastasize into sickness and disease. Oftentimes it shows up as stress. So when you're going to the doctor and saying, you know what, I'm just not feeling good. I have this pain in my head. I got this pain in my side. I don't know what's causing it. It's been there for a couple of months. They do all the tests that they can do. They can't find out anything. They just don't know what it is. And they just say, you know what, it's just stress. But we know that stress can literally take you out of here. And eventually stress does figure out a way to rear its ugly head. And oftentimes all types of physical ailments that we can identify come up. And so then they medicate you based upon those ailments, not realizing that the root cause is a negative emotion that has not been dealt with. So there's a relational impact as well. Now, we're talking about the financial impact. We're talking about the emotional impact. We're talking about the physical impact, but then there's also a relational impact. Now, as you know, when we're talking about the transitions that couples go through, oftentimes in the beginning of the relationship, it's the in love feeling. You are enamored by your spouse. You are wooed by everything that he or she does. You're in a great space. We call that the honeymoon phase. And that is when you consider yourself to be soulmates. But then when disappointment sets in, then when setbacks begin to take place, broken promises, undesirable results, you transition from the soulmate into just being roommates. You know, we talk about how many times we give up our relationship for the sake of the marriage. And it's now all about duties and obligations and responsibilities and work and extracurricular and ministry. And the relationship is now the last thing on our list of priorities because we don't take the time to invest in the relationship. So we've shifted from soulmate, boom, to roommate. And then because we're emotionally disconnected, we've transitioned from roommate now to roommate. We have nothing in common. We can't have a conversation. We don't date anymore. We can't sit in the same room for too long without something breaking out, without somebody popping off, or we just go dark, or we go numb, or we just begin to become disconnected. We're in the same physical space, but we are as far apart as the East is from the West. And so as you go through these phases, soulmate, roommate, if there's conflict and a whole bunch of issues that have gone unresolved that you're now fighting about and bickering about, you've now entered into the final phase, which is what we call the cellmate phase. And you become a cellmate. Think about it. Your spouse becomes your cellmate when one of you refuses to grow. And if you're not on the path of personal growth and development, and if you're trapped in the pit of your pain, and you're not doing anything to become the best version of yourself or to have the best relationship that you can have, this is what we see is the financial cost of that relationship. A relationship that would appear to be helpless and hopeless if you don't receive the help that you are looking for. Shiraz says it's so much more to consider. I can only imagine that the toll it will take on a person mentally and physically. Absolutely, there is a toll. But in addition to the relational toll that it has on you and your partner, there's a relational toll that it has on the children. because the children have a front row seat to your crazy. We talk about all the time that children learn by observation and participation. And so it's not about right or wrong. It's not about that. It's about what you are used to. It's about what you are exposed to. And if you're constantly exposed to behaviors that are unbecoming, you're teaching your children how to function. And so when they become of age and now they enter into a relationship, they're going to be processing how mom and dad would operate in this particular way. And this is why we say that it's never good to fight in front of your children, because you're showing them what a relationship is really all about. But if you do fight in front of them, make sure you're intentional to solve the problem in front of them. They can't see a fight break out and then all of a sudden everything's back to normal. They never saw the inner workings of how you resolve the conflict. And so therefore they're missing the necessary skills to resolve conflict in their own relationship because they never saw it. But on the flip side, we talk about this all the time. If they've never seen their their parents fight at all, when they experience any type of setback in their relationship, they think that the sky is falling. And so it's critically important that you show them what is healthy, but when things are going in a negative path, how you got back on track to work through those issues. So there's the impact that it has on your relationship. There's an impact in terms of the relationships that your children may one day have, but then it causes sometimes a separation between the parent and the child. We've seen when couples are not on the same page, they will literally use their children to get on their side and create a wedge between that child and that other parent. There was a book that I read some time ago. It was a really powerful book. It was talking about emotional incest and how oftentimes parents will engage in emotional incest with their children because now they're looking for their child to do what their spouse no longer does. And they become emotionally dependent upon, lean heavily upon, look for their child to compensate something within them that they're lacking, that they're not getting from their partner. And it's creating a whole lot of emotional issues in that household. But in addition to the children, then there are the other relationships that are impacted by it. Think about it. If you have friendships, you have couple friends, but you're in a bad place, well, that impacts your friends. Because there were times when we would date, right? There were times that we would go on vacation, we would get together for holidays, but now that we're in a bad space, I don't feel like getting together with my couple friends. Or when we do, it's weird, it's awkward, it's uncomfortable. We can't have a normal conversation. You're talking to me, your spouse is talking to my partner. We can't even, it's just weird. It's just weird. So other people are impacted by your relationship as well. So there is a relational cost. Then you think about the fact that there's a community that you belong to, whether that's a church community or a community of friends that typically have their own traditions and routines. Now, when one couple's out because you're going through, it impacts the entire dynamic of the community that you're a part of. And so there's so many implications that are involved when you are not in a healthy place. And this is why we encourage you to get the help. This is why we encourage you to do what's necessary to get your relationship back on track. Because as they say, what happens behind closed doors, they say, well, it's nobody else's business. But actually it is. It impacts everybody in your world in any way that you're connected to somebody. What happens behind closed doors impacts the world. We talk about the public life, the private life, and the secret life. And so in your private life with your spouse, if you're not in a healthy place, it will impact your public life. Likewise, if you're in a healthy place within your relationship, it will impact your public life. So it impacts it in a good way, it impacts it in a negative way, and that's why you have to be in a good place in your relationship. And so if you're suffering right now, maybe you are listening to this saying, this is exactly where I'm at. This is exactly what we're going through. There have been so many times when I wanted to give up, cave in, quit, throw in the towel because I didn't see any hope. It felt like it was helpless. I need you to know that that does not have to be your story. That your story is not over, that there have been many people in your situation, and dare I say worse. Now, I don't know what your situation is, but there have been so many people who have been in a worse situation than you that were able to do the work and they came out on the other side. And so listen, we're talking about the cost of a bad relationship. You're listening to the Couples Academy show. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break.
My name is Sarah, and we're from Washington, D.C.
My name is Lerone. We're from Washington, D.C., like my wife said.
We came here to try to find ways to stop arguing and just resolve and move on from things that have happened in our past and keep haunting us and keep coming up. Every fight, small, big, the same issues keep coming up. And we were on a vicious cycle and just about ready to throw in the towel.
I mean, for sure. Literally, I think the day that I had, decided to come to Couples Academy, or at least introduce the idea, I had met with a divorce attorney, My foot was out the door, man. I was ready to go. I was done, literally. We've been together for 15 years. Most of it has been beautiful, but I think over the course of that time, we never really had the tools to sort of address some of the issues. And some of those issues really just bubbled up and reached a boiling point. I was looking to get a divorce, I was looking to get a divorce, but I realized that I'd never really actually tried. We never actually tried to, in a systematic way, sort of talk about some of the issues that we had, and we never really developed a framework to address them. So I'm gonna tell you right now, man, if there's somebody out there that's struggling with their marriage, and I don't want to cry, but this experience today definitely gave us some life-changing tools. Right before we sat on this table, we sort of just went over this exercise that really just, I'm not trying to cut you favorite or just take over, but we went over this exercise that really just gave us something that kind of embarrasses me, provided us with an amazing tool that teaches us how to resolve problems.
And it's beyond, it's simple, it's easy, it's, if you're struggling with things that are constantly coming up and you think that they're never going to go away because he doesn't understand or he doesn't listen or he doesn't take this seriously and I'm the only one, and and it makes you sad in your marriage that you're just constantly going through these issues that are very big for you. We've learned here that can be fixed, that there are ways to get beyond those issues, that you can, really resolve them in a way that you're not doing it alone in a silo. You're doing it with your partner and effectively and with respect and with honor and listening. And it's not hokey pokey.
Yeah, I mean, you don't.
It's not fake. It's not in the moment. It's not for the minute that we're talking, and then we're gonna go back and do what we, whatever we want. It's legit, committed negotiating of the issues and really working through them so that you have a resolution that you both love and that you can both move forward with. And there's flexibility in that itself, because you're talking about the resolutions, but you're also giving yourself space to come back to the table and make some tweaks and make some changes if it's not working.
I mean, I can't wait to go home and try these tools. Mm-hmm. I just can't wait.
Couples Academy has been amazing.
Yeah, I mean, look, my life has been changed from this experience, man. You know what I mean? I know that we'll be together, and that means everything. But again, I think the most important thing is I have the tools now. It's such a short period of time. Mm-hmm. I had some doubts, legit. I had some doubts, but those doubts are gone. So if you have any struggles, any challenges, this will be a life-changing experience for you. Yeah.
Is communication a struggle in your relationship? Do you feel misunderstood or taken for granted? Do you ever wonder why connection with your partner has to be so hard? If you've asked yourself these questions and many more, then you need to register for the More Than Words, The Secret to Breakthrough Communication for Couples Masterclass. The date is Saturday, September 26, 2020, from 12 p.m. noon to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The cost is only $197. So whether you're single, dating, in a committed courtship, engaged, or married, the More Than Words Communication Masterclass is for you. Simply click the registration link below, secure your virtual seat, and get ready to experience breakthrough in your relationship. So guys, as you can see, there's power in getting the help. That couple that you just saw, they were in a very bad place. And many of us are typically in a very bad place where you feel hopeless, where you feel helpless, and your relationship, it just doesn't seem like it will ever get back on course. And that's why sometimes you have to step outside of your own self or get out of your own way and seek help from somebody that can guide you through a process that will allow you to experience restoration. Now listen, as you know, we have an amazing class coming up this Saturday. If you haven't registered yet, you want to get your seat. You want to get in there because we're going to be talking about some powerful things. Just to give you a quick update, we're going to be talking about iceberg communication. Well, what is that? Think about it. When you see an iceberg, there's a small portion that's above the sea line and a huge portion that's beneath it. And oftentimes we're only focusing on what we can see, but there are a whole lot of issues and idiosyncrasies and challenges and past hurts and wirings and idiosyncrasies that contribute to the way in which we communicate. And once you truly understand what is beneath the surface, what is hidden in your heart and in your mind, you can begin to show up in a different way. Then we're going to be talking about the different styles of communicating, because as we know, men are from Mars and women are from Venus, but beyond the gender differences, there are personality differences. So as you know, Danielle talks about the Enneagram personality assessment and how it affects how we communicate, the view or the lens that we look through, our perception on the world, which also makes communication more complex. Then we're going to be talking about how do you have a difficult conversation. There's something I want to talk about with my spouse, but I just don't feel that there's a safe environment for it. I'm already anticipating that it's not going to go well. I got stuff playing all around me. This is what happens when you're solo, guys. But all these things are happening all around you. How can you have a healthy conversation that brings results? Then we're going to be talking about how to rebuild trust in a relationship. We've been talking about trust issues and how to restore that when all the trust is gone. And how about being an effective listener? Some of you know how to communicate, but you don't know how to listen. And so if you don't have healthy listening skills, it will literally short circuit the potential of an effective communication that allows you to experience the level of breakthrough that you want. And then what about all of these unresolved issues that never seem to get resolved? Well, we're going to guide you through some healthy techniques and tips about how to find resolution and all of the issues that have gone on for the duration of your relationship. We're going to be talking about the 7 levels of intimacy and how we get blocked and stopped and trapped at the more shallow, higher levels, and how to go deeper in your relationship. And last but not least, we're going to be talking about the Four Horsemen, how we allow our own issues to get in the way and we build up guards and we are defensive and we shut people down and we have a tendency of minimizing. How to really remove all of those issues from the way in which you function in your relationship so that you can get the results that you're looking for. So it's going to be an amazing, amazing experience. It's $197. If you look at the link below, you'll see that you can register today. And listen, guys, we hope that you got something out of today's session. And we will see you in the morning for another great topic. And listen, share this. We want you to share this with everyone you know, because there's so many people in your community who can benefit from this as well. Love you guys, and we'll see you on tomorrow.
Can't bring us down, can't nothing bring us down. Our love is too